You're watching the Action Sports Jacks 24/7 now. It's time for the Brent Austen Show.
All right, so did they put the sod down? Is that what happened? Must have.
I mean, once again, I assume it was the sod because you don't see the lines anymore, right?
Is that what we got? I never got an answer on that. I put that out there. I got to check. It must have been new sod. It had to be. It had to be like just the dirt. That's what the brown was. It wasn't like cardboard or plywood or anything like that. It was dirt.
I mean, was the Browns game that physical where you had to re-sod after one game?
Well, I just wonder if the 2 weeks of rain factored into the health of the grass. Like,
Gotcha.
I don't think I don't think the turf was bad at all.
Yeah.
Against the Browns. Like, nobody was slipping, anything like that. But I do want. They had this break in the schedule. So is this the best time to do it? Because you have a game coming up against the Colts, and then you actually don't play another game, I think, at home until probably late October, and then there's Florida-Georgia game and stuff like that. So you actually have time to maybe do it even one more time if you need it in December for the end of the season. Okay. That's my cure. I don't know. I mean, I can find out. I just didn't after the fact. But it's interesting today. Yesterday we had it up there, and it wasn't like this.
Yeah.
Today they got the sod down. So it's got to be the sod. It makes sense in my mind, what I just explained, the timing of it.
Sod Talk Wednesdays on Brent Austen.
Yeah, get off my lawn.
There we go. Now we're talking.
All right, I was going to save this, but I think I'll just come out of the gates with it. Who's the next head coach? Do we really have? Oh my God.
I mean, hey.
Oh my gosh.
Hey.
We're there. We're there?
I feel like we have to be there.
We don't have to be there yet.
What else you want to talk about then?
I got a lot to talk about.
Let's get it. Yeah, let's hear it, man. I can't wait.
Should I start positive on this Whataburger Wednesday? Nice
I
orange
would
shirt.
love to-
I got the spicy
Oh,
ketchup
yeah.
shirt on.
Appreciate
We
you,
didn't
man.
even plan this. This is well done.
I would love to hear your positivity after what we saw on Monday night. So, yes. Let's hear the positivity, please.
Okay, so I've got an idea for I was watching TV last night.
Okay.
And just trying to get to bed and still couldn't really. So I ended up watching this. You ever see the 30 for 30 on, was it Galarraga, the Detroit pitcher that with Jim Joyce, the umpire, when he missed the call at first for the perfect game?
I haven't seen the 30 for 30 of it, but one of my best friends is like a diehard Tigers fan, so I watched like a documentary about it.
Yeah. It's pretty cool. This was cool, and it's been out. I feel like I've seen it around. I don't know how new it is, but I actually started to watch it. And it's just a neat story about Joyce, how he missed it, and then it was a reminder of what happened and what transpired.
Yep.
It actually got me thinking. Like this whole thing was about it had to be somewhat new because it was a 2022 study that Monmouth University did to try to get the call changed and his name in the record books for a perfect game. And they won't budge, Major League Baseball.
That's baseball, man.
But the commissioners just have each other's back. It's the same thing about Pete Rose, right? They don't want to overchange that because it would look like they're overchanging a previous, now deceased commissioner.
Well, yeah, but I think the Pete Rose thing is different because this is the beauty of being an ump. Like, you're not going to make every single call. And I feel like if you overturn that call that he blew, and by the way, he definitely blew it, but if you overturn that call, then it's almost like, okay, well, then let's go ahead and get robot umps in there because we're not going to leave any space open to, being human.
Yeah, I get that. What they were saying is, it was one of the most unique calls in Major League Baseball history. There's not anything else like it, where the batter, the umpire, the defender, the managers, the team, the world, the commissioner, everybody agrees with the outcome.
But it was the human error. That's a human element
and it sparked replay. That was one of the plays that sparked replay.
Yeah.
So nowadays it would be a perfect game.
Gotcha.
That was part of the argument. So
robot play calling, AI play calling. Here we go.
Well, maybe get to it. All right. So that's not really the story. That was fascinating if you want to watch it, though. If you do feel for Jim Joyce, the umpire, and the sportsmanship that took place. Galarraga is unbelievable in that whole thing. Okay. But then right after that, which one I've seen before, is 4 days in October, which as a Red Sox guy, and I was there in 2003 and 4 for the whole thing. But it's told through Bill Simmons and others in this documentary about how the Red Sox come back from 3-0 down.
Yep.
And so I'm like, I wanted to give Doug Peterson a call. And I'm like, Doug, you should play this for You're 0-3.
See you guys later. Not starting the day off like this.
You got to win your next 4.
Not starting the show off. So this is the solution?
Yes, you got to go. You got to go after the AFC South.
We're
going to go watch 4 days in October today in the film room.
We're going to make this team stay an extra hour and a half and watch an ESPN 30 for 30 about baseball.
Yeah, they need to find hope.
Yep.
They just need somebody to be a spark.
Yep.
They need Dave Roberts.
Yep.
That was my solution.
Oh yeah, no, I got it.
If they win, because here's my belief: if they win a game, they win go win 2-3 games in a row. Now you're back in it, right?
Yeah. No, for sure, man. I mean, if that's the case,
you're 2-0 in the division.
Yeah. I mean, I would rather have him watch like Rookie of the Year and like show like, hey, Henry Rowengarter dislocated his shoulder, but look what happened. He came back and he was an absolute animal. Evan Ingram, I understand right now like that soft tissue injury is bugging you a little bit, but guess what, man? When you come back, you're Henry Rowengartner. Tyson Campbell, I know, man, soft tissue injuries, they linger. They can linger for a long time, but look at Henry Rowengartner. When he came back, Tyson Campbell, lockdown corner. Let's just do that instead.
Yeah, maybe that's it.
That was a documentary too, right? Didn't that happen?
I think so.
Cubs?
Yeah, I think so.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know. I was just thinking that they got to find something. Like this is a team.
This is how bad this season has gone so far. Brent's recommending that they watch a baseball documentary.
Yeah. Well, listen,
Brent.
you got because here's the deal about that. They didn't give up on it. They were they had personality. They found a spark. This team has none of that right now. I mean, that's really what I was thinking. I'm like, my gosh, like this team. You think about the teams that bounce back. You think about the teams that do something special. I mean, what's special about this football team right now? I mean, I'm in that locker room a lot. Again, I'm not trying to crush anybody there. I respect the heck out of it, and I really try to be as fair as possible. But you also got to call it what it is. And right now, this is a lost group. It's a group just looking around for somebody else to jump in, and they can say they look in the mirror, but by the way, they're not really. Like in my opinion, that's the most overused thing that they say, and I'm not like the fans say something else. You guys have been saying the same thing. What else are they supposed to say? Like I understand the process, but in reality, they're not looking in the mirror. Like they can say they're looking in the mirror, but they're not. Correct. Because really they're looking for somebody in the mirror to be over their shoulder and help them out. They're looking for a lifeline. They're looking for a life jacket. They're trying to find somebody else to do it. And they really do have to look and say, I'm going to be the guy that changes it. And now there's a healthy balance there. You got to be the guy that changes it without pressing, right? But they've got to be who's going to step up and be like, I'm going to be the guy. You know what else I thought about a little bit yesterday? From a personality standpoint, does this team, I mean, again, not from just personality, Austin. Like guy that can spark you.
Yeah, but listen, like I guarantee in that locker room, on that roster, there is somebody that's like Dewey. There's somebody that brings energy, that kind of like, and I don't want to say it like, it's like comic. It's not comical, but like Dewey's funny. Like he says funny things, right? Like I guarantee there's somebody in that locker room that is like that. Like now, have we seen him step up? No. Have we seen the attitude? Not really. And I spoke on this yesterday a little bit. We thought that you brought in the guys from experienced teams, from winning traditional teams, that could kind of carry over to this locker room. And I don't think it has, because once again, we've seen a snowball effect, the same snowball effect that we've seen last year. So if nobody wants to step up, if nobody wants to throw a helmet on the sidelines, if nobody wants to get in the huddle and start cussing people out, then guess what? Maybe you don't have that guy right now. And if you don't have that guy right now, then guess what? It falls on the head coach.
Yeah. Yeah. The reason I'm digging deep. I understand. Even on the Wingard front, and I like Dewey, but sometimes there's just the juice, right? Just sometimes I keep coming back to juice. I feel like I've never used that so many times in my 15 years here.
It's loose.
But it's just a vibe, right?
Yeah.
And they don't have a vibe. Like they really don't have a vibe in there at all. Like there's not a good vibe. And you don't get bad vibes usually in September is my point. You get bad vibes in October, really November and December in a locker room. I've been in a lot of these. I've been in a lot of bad ones. And I don't think it's like a depressed locker room either. It's weird. It's kind of in that middle ground. It's not a lost locker room. It's not a depressed locker room. It's not get me to the end of the season locker room. It's like I just can't find my way. Can somebody bring me along? And I go, and what I'm trying to equate to here in my mind, and I understand each season is different, but we saw a team be resilient. We saw a team be able to bounce back. We saw a team keep believing in 2022 when they were 3-7 and they were down against the Raiders. And the big storyline that time against the Raiders was, hey, they turned to Jocko. Good. They got down. Good. They down 2 touchdowns. Good. And that was Wingard. Wingard was the guy preaching that on the sideline that game. He got heralded for it after the game because he was reminding people of what Doug showed him the night before in their meeting. Hey, don't blink. Well, this team is blinking very fast right now. They are blinking in a major way. This is not a don't blink team. This is not a resilient team. So Doug's either got to push some button where he shows some crazy thing and treats this like college football and high school football on Saturday night or Wednesday or Friday, whatever it is, or they need a player to do that. Mm-hmm. And right now I've seen no witness or evidence of a player being able to do that for, about 9 weeks here in Jacksonville.
Yeah, listen, I understand Dewey is definitely considered the lifeblood, the heart. It was always the Jags, all this stuff. But he also was the guy that was waving the towel around, and
I get it.
It hasn't gone well since the terrible towel. Not saying the curse or anything, but that's where it kind of went south. I stand by what I say. I just think that if you're lacking the spark, if you're lacking the motivation from a team and nobody's stepping up, then Doug Peterson, you got to step up. It's simple as that. You saw what Antonio Pierce said, after a game. And now we see what Devontae Adams is saying, where he didn't say Antonio Pierce is wrong. He said changes could be being made and message received. I would much rather, and here's the thing, and here's the wild thing about everything. The Jaguars are supposed to be a playoff team. The Raiders, with all due respect to you, you're not supposed to be a playoff team. Okay? Minshew, love you, man. Minshew Mania, you're not supposed to be a playoff team. In the division that you play in, that's supposed to be a playoff team. But guess what? It's almost like Pierce is saying, hey, if we don't go to the playoffs, it's going to be a failure of a season. And the whole overall thing of the last 3 weeks here, it's I don't know. I have no idea. I'm not sure what's going on. I don't know what the answer is. I don't know. Nobody knows. And maybe they don't know in Las Vegas either. Maybe you don't know why you gave Andy Dalton a Hall of Fame type of welcome back to the NFL. But at least they're trying to make an adjustment. At least they're trying to put people on notice. Here it's just, not sure what's going on.
Yeah, the thing that I would say about here's my little problem I have with Antonio Pierce's comments. This is a couple weeks in a row, and I didn't even hear the first one, but I guess Jason Fitz told us he called the offensive line out,
correct,
and now he's going to call somebody else out here, right? And it's well, what's your reaction to it? What's your he basically said we're going to make some business decisions. They haven't made a move. So he's so I used to say, Steph, we can't tell Ty and Kaylee that we're going to punish them if they don't do something and then not punish them. You know what I mean?
How do we know? Adam said they received a message and there could be some changes.
Okay,
that was Devontae Adams. I don't know. Maybe someone's getting benched. Maybe someone's getting brought up.
Let's see on Sunday.
Yeah.
Okay.
We have no idea yet.
Yeah, well, that's fair. In my view, I was okay, somebody's getting cut or something like that. But you're right. You could just do it from a playing time standpoint. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. But you better have actions, though, to back that up. So we'll see what kind of actions he has, because otherwise they're empty words, right? And you don't hear that. Soon enough, you'll tune it out.
Sure.
So,
listen, I just point to Dan Campbell. We talked about this already, but when he called out Jared Goff, many people wanted to say, oh, you shouldn't be doing that. Well, you're getting the best version of Jared Goff right now because I feel like he got called out.
Yeah. Is it? And so I guess that's what I was going to go a little bit today. Is it time to call out Trevor Lawrence? Forget about your team. I'm saying Trevor Lawrence specifically, because this feels like a quarterback that's not doing enough. He's not playing good enough football. But and I'll share something with you in a bit that I don't know if that's the best method, but is that maybe the most loud method to take if you're Doug? Because I asked Doug this yesterday. I'm sorry, what day is it? Wednesday. So Monday. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the press conference. And I said, is Trevor just not doing enough for you guys? And he said something to the effect of, well, we got to coach it better. We got to play better. Let's just say that.
Yeah.
Which means he was not willing to say It's Trevor's got to do more because it's pretty obvious. I think we all would say Trevor has to do more, but the coach didn't want to go there. But does he need to go there?
I mean, maybe he can say, like, hey, we can't have that interception. That's got to be cleaned up. But here's the issue with it. Like, Dan Campbell called out Jared Goff because, yes, Jared Goff on a great team wasn't achieving like he was supposed to. This team is it's not just Trevor Lawrence. So, like, if you're Doug Peterson, you want to say Trevor's got to play better. Well, then if I'm Trevor, I'm like, well, what about my offensive line? What about my wide receivers dropping passes in the end zone? Like, it stems on everybody. So if I'm Doug Peterson, no, I'm not just going to call it Trevor Lawrence. Like, yes, Trevor Lawrence is the general. He's the leader. He's the most important player on the team. I understand all of that. But you need to call out this team in totality because it's not just him. And no, I'm not making up excuses for Trevor Lawrence because that interception can't happen. Simply cannot happen. And if you want to call it that play, if you're Doug Peterson, by all means, call it that play. But don't just single out one player now because everybody on that offense and a lot of players on defense as well are not playing up to their best abilities.
But the franchise works through him. He's well respected. He's got more equity built up than any other player or person in the building right now. Like I don't care if it's choreographed. I don't. That doesn't bother me. Like you can tell, hey, Trevor, we're going to call you out here. But I think this might be a loud message that maybe everybody responds to. If I can call you out, it's all the Belichick Brady stuff, right? He used to call them out in the meetings, and maybe that's where you do it, in the meetings. Like maybe it's not in public, and maybe he's already doing it. But if he's not playing well enough, it starts there. If I can go after my quarterback, then everybody else is going to listen. And that's what I'm saying. Again, I'm not saying it to demean Trevor. I'm saying it, maybe is that the message to be sent through him to the rest of the football team because it always starts with him. And the bottom line is, it's not like he's playing MVP football. I don't think he's playing awful football. I don't disagree with you. There's a lot of broken stuff around it, but he's not playing well enough, and he's not dragging the team through the mud right now either.
But what's been the biggest disappointment so far this season? Has it been Trevor Lawrence? Has it been the offensive line? Has it been the wide receivers catching balls?
Honestly, to me, my biggest disappointment is them operationally. They don't look like they know how to function in year 3 of an offense. And I do think that starts with the quarterback and coach.
Okay.
And
well,
now
Doug Peterson's not going to call himself out and say...
Well, he didn't yesterday. Yeah. He said, listen, we're getting the play call in and blah, 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 blah. He actually did somewhat call out Trevor like it's on field. It's play to play. And he didn't say it specifically, but the interpretation is he's got to do better. So I would argue, and I don't disagree with you, I know there's a lot that goes into the game. And I think the receivers have dropped balls. I think the offensive line has not been good. It really hasn't. And I think those are all valid excuses for Trevor to not trust things and to bail out of pockets and to do other things. But I also believe he's been part of the snowball effect more than part of being a stopper. You know, that's another thing. I keep bringing up my kids, but I used to say, like, hey, if they're a bad inning, be the stopper, man. Don't be the guy that keeps this bad inning going. Be the guy that makes the routine play or something like that. I don't think Trevor's making the routine play. I think on third down he's overthrowing Gabe Davis. I think Brian Thomas Jr. he's overthrowing him. I think he's chucking the ball at ETN on first down right out of the gates against Buffalo. I think he looks a little rattled at times. I don't think he's playing comfortable football. And again, I can make reasons, human nature-wise, logical reasons why he is not comfortable right now. But I also think that is why you pay this guy $275 million to overcome some of that, to lead the way. And even when a play breaks it down to pick up your teammate, you can't catch it for him, but you can throw it in his vicinity, instead of short hopping. So I just can't, as much as I love Trevor, and I'm such a defender of Trevor, and I don't think he's playing bad football, I just don't think he's absolved from this right now. I don't think he's doing enough to fully absolve him from the problems at hand.
No, I mean, listen, if you want to call Trevor Lawrence out and say he has to step up his game, if you're Doug Peterson, by all means, then please do that. If that's going to be the spark, that changes everything. But there's plenty of blame to go around. And I just caution that if you just call one player out, what that result will be like in the locker room. Because if I'm Trevor Lawrence and I get called out, and I got to play better. Why? Because I'm getting paid like a top 5 quarterback, and I get it. It's not about the stats sometimes and everything, but you're being paid to be an elite quarterback. And right now, Trevor Lawrence, you are not an elite quarterback. It's simple as that. And once again, I still see this, and for the love of God, you people need to stop this. Enough with the EPA. Enough with the analytical things saying, whoa, he's actually doing pretty good. No, just what do your eyes tell you? And I keep repeating back to this, and I saw a post, I don't even know who it was from, but they were saying like through the last couple weeks, like if you take the EPA and you mix it with something else, like he's actually not that bad. And I don't care because you can't explain it to me. Here's what I can explain about Trevor Lawrence. The interception was horrible. The interception was a horrible pass, and that's what my eyes are telling me. Okay? Now, yes, there are drop balls. Yes, the offensive line isn't playing well, but Trevor has to play better. It's simple as that. He's not playing like he should be getting paid whatever he's getting paid right now. Anybody would agree with that. So if that's where we're at, and once again, it's not just him, I just caution you of saying, yes, our quarterback's got to be better. Yeah, for sure. He absolutely has to. But so does the play calling. So does whatever the going from the headset to Trevor, because regardless of what you think and what Doug Peterson's saying, which I don't always buy into in these press conferences, if you go back and watch on that drive, Trevor goes, I can't hear. And then it seemed like he kind of called his own stuff. And guess what? They actually scored a touchdown. So are we going to address that? Or are we going to address on, it seems like the series where Trevor couldn't hear anything from the sidelines and he's going like this, I can't hear, forget it, I'll do my own thing. They actually score a touchdown. Let's address that. Maybe Trevor's a pretty good play caller. We don't know. So I feel like you hold the entire offense, Brent, accountable. The offensive line, the play calling, Trevor, the drop balls, the wide receivers. I feel like if you call people out, you call it as a totality and don't just single one person out.
Yeah, that's fair. And maybe he should start doing it. He's such a protector of players. But I would say, who are you going to rally around right now if he calls out the whole team, you're like, if there is some rallying cry internally and you're going to be like pissed off at Doug for calling you out or something. But the reason why I like the idea of calling out Trevor in this, again, and I don't mind if it's choreographed. I think this happens. I think it's like, hey, Trev, listen, this isn't just you problem, but you're the guy, and they're going to react to you, and this is part of what this job is. Like, we're going to call you out. And, like, you can tell them. But I think you can rally around Trevor in that sense. Even if they do get pissed off, you rally around Trevor. And if you want to take a side right now, who's more important side to take, Doug or Trevor? It's rally around your quarterback, right? So I don't, and again, I'm not even suggesting it's that splintered right now. I don't even think Austin is. But I just think there's so much there's almost too much to try to fix right now in Jacksonville. So just start at the top.
Yeah, but like, listen, if I'm Doug Peterson, I'm in desperation mode. I really don't care about players' feelings at this point. All right, because players want to feel a certain type of way to go on Twitter and call people out. But then if a coach calls you out, then what? Oh, he's singling me out. He's not. No. Like, if you're Christian Kirk, you have to catch the football. Okay? Simple as that. You're Brian Thomas Jr., I get your rookie. You got to catch the football. If you're Brenton Strange, I understand, like, it's supposed to be Evan Ingram's role. He's gone. You step up. You got to catch the football. Like, there's plenty of blame to go around. And if we're to the point where we have to walk on eggshells with this team because we don't want to hurt feelings, we don't want to call people out, you're 0-3. All right? And apparently looking at yourselves in the mirror isn't doing anything. So let's go ahead and call people out then.
Yeah, the Ryan Michael, who's a big defender of Trevor Lawrence, I just saw this come up on notes just because I said his name or what. Trevor's, that is. But to your point,
I swear if we go EPA, I'm going to lose.
This is what people will defend. Now, he says in the last couple of games it's not like this. But in 2022, higher DVOA than Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. 23, led the AFC in adjusted EPA. Oh, my God. 24, fourth in adjusted EPA after week one. And then the last 2 weeks.
After week one?
Bad. I know. No, that's my point. Like, you're going to see this kind of stuff, but I think you're right here. And see, that's the thing. And I'm a defender. Like I said, Trevor's a good player, all right? The Jags aren't getting good enough play out of him. But that's coaching, sure. But that's also on Trevor, too. And we're going to take a timeout. I'm going to share something that was said. See, the national media is starting to get a hold of it now because they played on Monday Night Football. And there are some interesting thoughts around that I at least saw, and I'm sure there are many more, about Trevor and Doug Peterson and what's going on in Jacksonville and possibly the next coach of the Jacksonville Jaguars, all those things. Mm-hmm. But there is something that's bothersome to me when it comes to Trevor 4 years in. And I start to wonder I've seen this before in Jacksonville. And this is one of those issues where the scar tissue just builds up too damn much? And are we already starting to see a compounding interest of scar tissue in Trevor Lawrence to the point that we're not going to get his best football here in Jacksonville anytime soon? Maybe eventually, but anytime soon.
Welcome back to the Brent and Austin Show, streaming on the Action Sports Jax 24/7 network.
There you go, Austin. There it is right there. Ryan Michael, who, by the way, I like.
Who is this?
So I don't really know exactly, with all due respect.
Good. Off to a great start.
But he's a huge defense. Like, he'll put stats out all the time on Trevor, which is like.
Did you do this for everybody or is it just Trevor?
I don't honestly know, but I know I see him on Trevor. So,
okay.
Because there's a lot of these hidden numbers that you love so much.
Yeah,
but he actually speaks here. He speaks a little more of the truth, right? The 2-game stretch of bad football is one of the. But he's one of the least supportive playing situations in the NFL.
I mean, let's just break this down real quick. So first of all, this guy's an NFL dude, like from the league. Don't even know who he is.
I really don't.
A great start. It's gonna be some dude and some dudes like just hanging out in a basement, and he's got a blue check mark.
That could be true. I don't know.
I mean, what does his bio say?
Here's his bio: contributing writer and analyst to Pro Football Hall of Fame statistician.
Oh, that sounds legit.
And
that's a website.
I don't even know what some of this means, but KOA Colorado Broncos flagship.
Oh, cool. Okay, yeah. Let's keep propping this guy up on our show.
But he's I'm not propping him up. I'm just sharing his information.
He's literally taking over the stream right now.
Well,
I'm staring at his tweet.
I'm just hoping that
Kim.
But look at his last few tweets are this one.
Okay.
No, keep that up. Get Austin pissed off. I like this. The couple of tweets ago, it was.
Put it back up, Kim. That's fine.
A circle of the little graphic in the Monday night game that says Jacksonville Jaguars 108 drops since start of 2021, most in NFL. Mm-hmm. Second is Kansas City with 91.
What are they, 3-0?
Well, they are.
Oh, that's cool.
But that's,
okay.
That's 17 more drops.
There's the numbers. Yep.
Let's see what else we got.
Please.
Anything else?
All right. So no. Okay. Here we go. Oh yeah. Get the picture in picture there, Kim. Now we're talking. All right. So 2022, and I'm sorry I'm moving all the time. You have to move the camera. It's just how I operate, Kim. You should know this by now. My bad. 2022 higher DVOA than Joe Burrow and Jalen Hurts. All right, Brent. What does that mean?
Really not
sick.
Sure.
All right. 2023 led the AFC in adjusted EPA/P. What does that mean?
That's good.
Yeah, but I'm saying, what does it mean? Like, what does that say? Like he was good, but
points, like above.
Okay,
yeah.
So like he was good, but the people around him weren't that good.
Yes.
Okay, cool. And then 2024, fourth in adjusted EPA, and then the P thing again after week 1. So then, like, I assume after week 2, 3, and like it hasn't been that good.
No, he does say that at the bottom without numbers. He just
reading.
says it's a bad stretch in the last couple of games.
Okay.
In terms of the metrics.
Yeah, but the thirst for narrative, the addiction to box score analysis, the complete and utter disregard for teammate coaching performance in the ultimate team sport is all it took to perceive 2 elite seasons. Okay. Good reason the all 22 in analytics have been so high on Lawrence as mid. Sorry, buddy. I can't, like, because it's kind of hard. I can actually read. It's just hard for me to read this because it's so small. And to lean heavy on 2 games, 2 seasons as the evidence. Thank you, Kim. Evidence to support a take bereft? A take bereft?
Where are you?
Of critical. The bottom sentence.
I started listening
to support a take bereft
of critical thinking.
What does bereft mean?
Well, without critical thinking.
Okay,
yes.
Gotcha. Okay, cool. I can zooming it up even more. All right,
it's a good word, by the way.
So I mean, that's a lot to break down. That's a lot of analytics and everything, and you know how I feel about this, everybody. I'm just going to say this. If we truly put all our stake into EPA, into the DVOA, into the HRA, into the FBI, if we put our analytics into just these shortened things that nobody can explain, that nobody can really break down, but someone's getting paid off it. So, hey, let's go ahead and prop these things up. And this might be a Trevor Lawrence burner account. So let's go ahead. I'm going to follow this guy now because I want to see where he goes. And if I have to call it Trevor Lawrence now, I got to call it Trevor Lawrence because it might be a burner. All right. People got YouTube pages, people calling out other fans on Twitter. Maybe Trevor's got a burner account. Nevertheless, if these numbers were so important, then why even have a combine? Then why even have meetings? Because take the human element out of it. Take the eye test out of it. Just go analytics then. Because I guess analytics tell you the complete story. I guess analytics are saying that Trevor Lawrence is the top 5 quarterback. Okay, that's fine. That's what the analytics say. And this is my problem with analytics, is that it's ruining the game. Because I can find any type of number. I can create a number and say Trevor Lawrence is the best quarterback in the NFL, and I can get data that say he's the worst quarterback in the NFL. It's all about fitting the narrative. Like that's what analytics are. Like we want to say it's an exact science, but it's not, because you're using analytics to try to prove a point. But then you want to say the EPA. Well, the first week, it was really good. Yeah, weeks 2 and 3, don't even mind that. Like that's just it's a rough stretch. Okay, we all have rough stretches. No, to hell with that, man. It's about totality. It's about your last game. It's about who you are. And guess what? The last game, Trevor Lawrence with that interception was not good. So we gotta stop putting so much stake into this EPA crap. I'm so sick and tired. I was sick and tired of it when the show started, Brent. And now you're pulling up on our stream and making me break it down, trying to give me a heart attack. I have a fight in 3 weeks. And we're trying to get that heart rate up to unforeseen levels. I'm just saying, people, pump the brakes on the analytics, because when you put those analytics out there like this and you try to prove a point with all your findings, you're ruining the game. Because the most important thing, more than analytics, more than stats, it's what do your eyes tell you? And the last game, my eyes are telling me that Trevor Lawrence right now is not a really good quarterback. Okay? It's simple as that. And once again, say it's the offensive line. Go ahead and say it's wide receivers dropping balls. He's still not playing well. And that's a fact. And I don't care what the DOVA or the EPA says about it. It's what my eyes tell me.
Hey, by the way, I'm going to use DVOA and EPA to send you just text after text the eve of your fight, the day of your fight. Mm-hmm. Maybe that will help. Mm-hmm. Maybe it get you extra fired up. Yeah. Or do you want to be in a calm space?
Or maybe I punch somebody in the locker room getting warmed up. And then I get escorted out of the Apex.
How about if that's
you want to see that?
How about just the new entrance? Like you just start looking at your phone the whole time down. Right? In your fight. And now it's just like Ryan Michael and Daniel Griffiths and all those people just sharing all this data.
Yeah, man.
And then you get so just worked up, man. It's like first round knockout.
Well, especially in the Apex as well. What you need to do is when Bruce Buffer announces my name, you got to be from a nickname and hailing from Jacksonville, Florida, home to Trevor Lawrence, who has one of the highest EPAs in the first week that we've ever seen. But the last 2 weeks, it's not that good. But he has the really good DOVA from, and I'm trying to shadow box. I'm like, the hell, Bruce? What are we doing here? But he had one of the highest DOVAs in 2022, which was a couple years ago, but it was higher than Joe Burrow. 6'6". Oh, and by the way, the EPA in 2023 was really good. Nah, man. Relax. Bruce Buffer, relax.
Please don't do that.
Brent Martineau, relax.
I wonder if I could pay for that.
Ryan, what's that guy's name? Ryan Michael?
Ryan Michael.
I already forgot about it.
Yeah, he's out in Denver, so maybe he could just drive it over.
Well, then do Bo Nix stuff.
Yeah, I know. I think he does.
Oh, I hope so. Hey, Brent.
He just has an affinity for Trevor. I don't know if he went to Clemson or whatever.
Oh, for real? Yeah. You burner, but it's okay.
Yeah, maybe.
He has an affinity for Trevor.
It's not my burner. I don't have time to do the math, all right? So it's not mine.
As long as you don't say a Trent Baalke, if you take the numbers from his draft picks and you actually add them all up compared, that's Brent Martineau.
Okay, so Dan Orlovsky did the game Monday. And me, I'm kind of a fan of Dan Orlovsky, but the Jags got hammered on that broadcast. I didn't listen to it. I was at the game, but apparently they got hammered. And so he comes back on NFL Live and does a breakdown of Trevor. And to me, Austin, this is where I have my biggest concern about Trevor Lawrence. Yeah. And I don't know if this is a Trevor problem as much as a systemic problem, but I do believe there's a little bit on Trevor as well, that he needs to be almost better than this part. And I know that human nature doesn't allow you to do this sometimes, but this is the unmeasurable thing. This is the intangible thing. This is the it thing that you can bounce back. This is what Josh Allen's been able to overcome. This is when the noise gets loud or the adversity gets big, that you are bigger than that in the moment. And by the way, Trevor's shown that at times in his career. He showed the ability to do that coming back from that Denver interception in London, that little talk to himself that he had that actually sparked really good play. Flush it, let it go play.
Yeah.
My problem with Trevor right now, I think, is that he's just not playing football. If this guy just plays football, he's a good football player. But if he gets his mind wrapped around trying to do too many things, whether it was last year trying to do too much on one play and fumbling the football, or right now it seems to be bottling up his mindset or his confidence or how he actually is playing each play, well, then you become a split second late. Then you become a little bit tight just by nature, and you're just not free-flowing and playing. Mm-hmm. And if you listen to Orlovsky, I think he sums it up that there are some instances in this game right out of the gates, Austin, right out of the gates, like first play of the game, that he is not in a good space. He's not comfortable right now playing football and playing quarterback for this team. Listen to Orlovsky.
Just for context, Dan and I spent a lot of time in the production meeting with the Jags. We spoke with Trevor Lawrence before the game. Then we watched everything unfold. We heard them tell us that there was urgency, but you could also tell there were a lot of things they're still trying to figure out. What exactly is going on with Trevor Lawrence right now from your perspective?
Yeah, it feels like every rep Trevor's trying to prove worthy of that number one pick, worthy of the contract. It's the striving for perfection instead of striving for any form of progress. This is the first snap of the game, okay? Just take a deep breath. Now, the route concept, I just want you to watch the throw, okay? Travis Etienne is a check down. He's 4 yards from him. He fires that football to him. That's the first snap of the game. This is the interception. Now, look at how Trevor sets up there. How is your body that regimented, that you're standing straight up? You have unbelievable passing lanes, and then watch how he hops. I mean, he takes a full yard hop over. And to me, that's like a guy that is like almost robotic in that moment, even though it should be so easy. Later on in that football game, Hawk knows this. This is an out to a shallow concept. I watch this and I say, he's chasing things that aren't there. He's feeling things that aren't there. He's spinning in the pocket, even though the pocket is completely fine. I understand how hard this is. Like, I get it. But when you watch him play, it's this tightness of trying to make every rep be the home run almost.
That looked like a meme, but we're not going to get into that right now.
I'm scared about that.
But I love everything you're saying.
I think that was really well said, and I think that's what I see. I didn't know if I saw it on the first play of the game. I didn't know if that was that rifle pass, which we've seen a little bit from him in the past, but I thought it was him playing fast anyway. I thought even going through that progression, it looked fast to me. I thought the last play that he diagnosed, which was similar to the one where he escapes against Cleveland, where there was no pressure, he actually felt Travis Etienne in the backfield with him. It wasn't a defender. He felt Travis Etienne, and therefore he started to spin and move. I think Orlovsky's right here. And again, this is what I've been trying to get at the last couple of days. He's not playing free. He's not playing comfortable. I didn't feel like the contract would be a burden on him because I think he doesn't mind that kind of burden. I don't think that's it. I think it's more, this goes back to trust, man. Look at what has happened since he has come to Jacksonville. And from Urban to, okay, Doug's got to get this out of him. And by the way, you can hammer Doug right now, but you have to applaud Doug for what he did in 22. He made him more of a confident player. He somehow freed him up. And it took the Denver game and his internal own discussions coming back from London to do that. But then he played some of the best football in the National Football League. Like, he played free. Things started to go well. When they go well, he's a great front runner. Things are going to pile up. Okay, come on, let's go. And he did. And then they had the break in the season. He even, listen, it's not like he can't come back from adversity. He came back against Denver. He came back against the Chargers. He's got that kind of headspace. He can get there. He can bounce back. I think I'm impressed by that. Not everybody can. He didn't go in the tank. I think we used to have a guy like Blake Bortles who would go in the tank when something happened. This isn't it. I don't think he goes into the tank. I think he gets a little bit more like, I got to do it all, which then just, if anybody's ever played sports at any level, like, you're like, oh, that tight feeling is not a good feeling to have.
Yeah.
But the thing about it, at this level, these guys are usually above that. That's what makes them great. Like, what makes LeBron so great in a moment is he's free flowing still. Steph Curry, he's taking that shot in them because he's cool with it. He gets comfortable in that. Tiger Woods hits a chip in that moment because he's comfortable with it. Look how slow Mahomes is when he plays in the game in late situations. It just slows down for him.
Yeah.
Trevor, this is what I've said when these guys look in control. Trevor doesn't look in control right now. He doesn't trust a damn thing around him because guys are dropping passes, even his favorite guys like Kirk. Guys aren't blocking, even his favorite offensive lineman like Brandon Sheriff or a Cam Robinson. And I don't know about the play calling stuff, but whatever else, he can't trust anything. And so then he's saying, all right, dude, do it yourself. Let's go. Let's do it yourself. Well, no, then you're like tight. It's like you just did a workout. You can't play like that.
Yeah. So I half agree with what Dan Orlovsky's saying here, where Trevor Lawrence is trying to force too much stuff. Yes, I think you can tell that he's trying to play outside himself. Maybe he's trying to make up for receiver mistakes. I do agree with that. But the other half of me, and I don't compare fighting to football a lot, but I think this could be a prime comparison here. If you find yourself in a cage, you find yourself in a fight, and you have a game plan, and all of a sudden you get punched in the face a couple of times, that game plan goes out the window. And now all of a sudden you're a little more tentative. You're a little more scared to throw punches because you know what it feels like to get hit, and you don't want to feel that anymore, regardless of how much adrenaline is going through you, regardless of how much you've been prepared, regardless of what your teammates are doing, your coaches are doing. You just don't want to get hit. And that second reel there that Dan Orlovsky showed where he was in the pocket and he spun out for no reason, he looks like he's shell-shocked.
Yeah.
And if you know that term, basically what I'm saying is he's afraid to get hit. He's to the point now where his internal clock is so mixed up where he's feeling 1001, 1002, oh crap, here it goes again. Mm-hmm. And it's not. And sometimes there is good blocking. And running backs are taking up their blitz. But he doesn't believe in himself. He doesn't believe that. So the internal clock is completely screwed up. And that's where that interception came from. That's where I think a lot of the bad plays have come from. It's the internal clock going off too quickly. Now, once again, that's a direct result of offensive line not blocking, him getting hit, probably not like getting hit, and maybe being banged up because of it. That's what I think is going on. I think it's a combination of the drop balls and him trying to play outside himself and feeling the pressure, but it's also the offensive line not doing him favors and him feeling like he's going to get hit again. And, like, listen, I understand, like, some quarterbacks can stand down the barrel, take that hit. Like, a lot of quarterbacks can.
By the way, Trevor's done that many a time, too.
Well, and this is what I'm going to say. It's one thing to do it maybe once or twice a game, but when you're getting constantly put on your back, there's only so much a quarterback can take before he breaks.
Well, listen, and let's see. We just had I don't know who had it. Now it's left. I'll go find it. But somebody just said, hey, yeah, look at Mahomes. I think said you're right about Mahomes. He seems so comfortable, blah, blah, blah. Well, I would, if someone wants to go look this up, I just tried to real quick and I couldn't find it. Find me Mahomes' offensive line rankings, if you will, if you want to go there. And I know Austin probably doesn't, but it'll give you at least an idea. The rankings of the offensive line for Patrick Mahomes in his career. And see, what I think this is this, like, what we don't want to acknowledge is this is stacking up. It's a stacking up. It's this compounding. I've used that word a bunch the last couple of days. But you can't deny that. When you have a bad rookie year, when you have 100 and something drops over your career, most in the NFL, when you have offensive lines that continuously rank in the bottom third of the league, like, where's the equity built up of trust? Where's the equity built up of comfort? It's a hard damn position to play in the NFL.
Correct.
And I'll give you, on the third play of the game, he almost has his ankle broken. Third play of the game. Go back to that game. Okay, so I'm a little concerned that he comes out of the gates hot on that one play, but it seems like he throws that hot sometimes. He's got to get better at that on that quick check down. Then he has an incompletion, and then on 3rd and 9, right out of the gates, he comes off the field limping. And it probably should have been a penalty about going after his legs. Of course, they don't seem to call that very much on Trevor. But right away, Austin, you're like, how can you not be human nature? First of all, my leg hurts. No, secondly, I almost just got injured for the season. That scares the hell out of you as a player. And here we go again. 3 and out. I just got my legs taken out. Mm-hmm. And Are we going to do this again? I don't know how you can't not say that. And so if somebody can find me Mahomes has been in such a comfort level. Tyreek Hill, Kelsey, Reed, sit out the first year. And so and by the way, this doesn't take away from his greatness. What I'm saying is there's never been this just tidal wave of negativity to overcome for him. He doesn't have to do that. And what you do is you get to build up equity and it faster. It compounds the other way. Hopefully like your 401k, right? It compounds in a good way. And that's awesome. But not everybody compounds that way. Yeah. We have seen it in Jacksonville where you compound in a negative way, and it ruined Blaine Gabbert's career because Jack Del Rio played him early. Now, I have no idea if he'd been good, but I know they didn't help him.
Brent. He wasn't ready, though.
And he couldn't escape it, right? He was gun shy, and he just could never play the position the way he wanted to or the team wanted to because they put him in a bad spot, and he couldn't overcome it. I thought Blake Bortles at times was able to overcome it, but he couldn't overcome it altogether. Maybe that was more skill set. Maybe he just wasn't good enough to do it. But one of the great things about what Trevor has done is overcome Urban Meyer. And it looked like he was on his way to doing it. Mm-hmm. But then you go back and you're like, oh, damn, now these guys can't block. And now these guys, what comes back is that Urban Meyer stuff. Not Urban himself, but the lack of confidence that existed in that first year. You know, Peyton Manning had to overcome this. This was the Alex Smith conversation last week or over the weekend.
Yeah.
It's like we can't just assume that every quarterback's going to overcome 28 picks in a season and be okay with it. What's fascinating around the league right now is you're finding guys like Baker Mayfield who had to overcome this, but it took 3-4 stops in years to overcome the negativity that existed in his mind, the scar tissue of all the negative things. And now he's in a good place and things are going well. And then guess what? It starts compounding the other way. It's like the stock market really took a jump, you know, in his own mind. We're asking Bryce Young, will he ever be able to overcome what just transpired in Carolina? And I would say most people think no. And part that is him, because maybe he's not good enough. But the other part of that is, man, did they set that kid up to fail, right?
Yeah, I mean, so here's what I look at. Let's take Dak Prescott, for example. Because you see what Trevor Lawrence, his first year, he gets sacked 32 times, then 27 times, and then 35 times, right? And it hasn't been a good look with the offensive line. You want to take Dak Prescott's numbers? 25 sacks his first year, 32 sacks his second year, 56 sacks his third season. Oh, and by the way, in that 56 sack season, which is unheard of, he went 10-6. And he was a Pro Bowler. His final numbers, he had 22 touchdowns, 8 interceptions through 56 sacks.
Yeah, I'm not saying it can't be done. I just think that's a unique thing. I mean, Blake Bortles got sacked 54 times, I think, in a season. But
I'm not calling Blake Bortles a great quarterback.
No, I know.
Either,
I'm just saying, guys.
I mean.
But wouldn't you also agree that the scar tissue of not being able to win a playoff game comes back and haunts Dak Prescott?
Yeah, without a doubt. But
mounts, right?
Yeah, but I would much rather have the conversation of being competitive year in and year out and being, a top 10 quarterback. At least having that for Trevor Lawrence as opposed to having one miracle run against, the Chargers and that's it.
I get it, but it's the same concept in my opinion. It's the same concept that Dak and the Cowboys can't get out of their own way even when they're good because that compounding of the last 20 years has built that game up to be a Super Bowl even though it's a playoff game. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
In the first round, and they can't get out of their own way. And I think in that context, it's very similar to what I'm trying to say. I just think it's human nature. The bottom line is he's got to talk himself back into it, or they've got to set him up better. Yeah. And guys got to play better. I mean, he's got to be the one that infuses confidence in them, but they also have to, get confidence back to their quarterback in some respects.
Yeah, but this is I guess this is the point that I'm trying to make. Like, yes, I get offensive lines and getting hit. It makes you gun shy. But another example, and granted, he's a shell of himself from what he was when he was in his prime, but Deshaun Watson. Deshaun Watson comes in his rookie year, plays sparingly, gets sacked 19 times, played in 6 games. Started in 6 games, played in 7 games. His second year, got sacked 62 times.
Wow.
And guess what? Was a Pro Bowler.
Yeah. 26
touchdowns, 9 interceptions. His third year, okay, they finally showed up in Houston. Nah, not really. Got sacked 44 times. Went 10-5, was once again a Pro Bowler. And then you think, okay, they finally got it figured out. Nope, 2020, in his 4th season, got sacked 49 times. But we never want to talk about when Deshaun Watson was in Houston, he didn't really seem gun shy. Like, here's the thing. He led the league in passing in 2020, and he also got sacked 49 times doing it.
Yeah. Well, he dropped back a lot, I guess.
I guess so.
Yeah. But listen, Austin, I don't, and I think this is, I think those are great examples.
And these aren't analytics. These are just stats. These are just straight up stats.
I'm not telling you can't overcome it. I also don't think Trevor's in a situation where he's just playing crap football all the time and he's unfixable. I think that's why you see some of this inconsistent play, though. I think he gets reminded of it in a game, and you're like, oh, crap. Like where he plays easy in that game, I think you mentioned it yesterday, is in the second half when they're down. It's like, okay, well, let's just chuck it, because like whatever.
Yeah.
But that he needs a little bit more whatever. Now, not reckless whatever, but he needs to play free. You need to play free. And again, maybe this is a him problem. Maybe it's a trust problem. Maybe it's a Doug and Press problem. I don't know what the problem is, but I think it's pretty evident based off what Orlovsky's saying, but I think we see it. That's what I've been trying to say. I think we see it. He is not playing comfortable.
Yeah.
And he's got to get to some kind of comfortable place to play his best football. I think all athletes do. I would argue there's a lot of guys not playing comfortable. The player that looks the most uncomfortable playing football right now to me, which is a little surprising, is Kirk. Mm-hmm. I mean, Christian Kirk looks like he's lost a little bit of his confidence, and he also looks like a guy that's trying not to re-injure himself at times. Like he just looks awkward catching the football these first 3 weeks. He looked better because he got in a flow. Yep. But, that play in the end zone, man, that looks like me going up to try to catch a ball for the first time in the end zone against a defender. It looks like he just doesn't. Now, did he get interfered with maybe a little bit? Did that mess? But the bottom line is he didn't look like a confident receiver going to make a play.
Yeah.
Brian Thomas looks like a confident player going to make a play. I know he's dropped a couple, but he looks like a confident player. That's a guy that has zero scar tissue. Right now, Kirk has scar tissue, like literally because of injuries over the last, going back to December. But also, the drops, I think, hurt him in his psyche in that first game. Those are huge drops. And he looked awkward doing it. And he looks awkward in the end zone trying to catch that one. These are guys that are really struggling, in my opinion, with their confidence right now. I'm not a sports psychologist, but I think it's jumping out at me how much they're struggling with confidence. It's going to be interesting to watch Devin Lloyd play this week. Devin Lloyd played 2 good games, stacked them, right? Mm-hmm. And then didn't really play well the other day. So does that really hamper him now? Is he going to be head in a beehive type thing, and he's going to be a Tank Bigsby? Looks like he's playing confident football. We said this. You got to have some things go your way. Now, the kickoff return was a little goofy. I think he can bypass that one. But it looks like when he touches the ball, doesn't he look like a confident player?
Sure.
He didn't last year, right? So, we can't – you do have to play the game with confidence. You really do. And right now we're talking about an offensive team, or at least a football team in Jacksonville that looks like they could spend the next few days talking to a sports psychologist, and that might benefit them the best.
No, that's honestly, I hope that could be a thing. Because that's the thing.
I'm not saying that in a funny way either.
No,
I'm telling you, they're lacking confidence here in
Jacksonville. We're lacking confidence, and Trevor looks a little gun-shy now in the pocket because he's afraid of getting hit, which, listen, I never played quarterback, but I can only imagine how many unwarranted hits that you don't see coming you can take before it's like, dude, I've had enough of this.
Brent Martineau, Austin Lane, Kim Corner here on a Wednesday, and we're reached the point of trying to fix this thing somehow. I'm not sure how. I don't think they know how. Doug Peterson just talking to the media and said Foye Oluokun is out, looks like, for a little bit, and Ventrell Miller will take his spot. So they'll lean on Ventrell, it appears, to get a lot of those reps or some of those reps.
Yep.
That's a big loss.
Yeah, it's huge.
Foye Oluokun, right now, in terms of what you know about the Jacksonville Jaguars, it's hard to lean on a lot. But what you do know is Foye is a good player, and he seems like he's the one. If you go a couple weeks ago, I think he had a sack, and then the other day he almost had an interception. I feel like he's around the ball. I don't know what his metrics and everything else or what they would say inside the building on the film room how he's playing. I just feel like he's always 23 is around the ball. You know that. So it feels like he's doing something. He provides energy to me. If there's a guy that jumps off the page, usually on TV, it's him. Because he's always around it. And then losing him was a big deal. It's plantar fasciitis, which could be a thing that lingers. The good news is structurally there's not anything that will keep him out for the year. But this is probably going to be at least a couple of weeks, Austin. And I think it's a big blow to a team that's right now reeling.
Yeah, honestly, we're talking about, yesterday, give me the best player on the team. and we kind of had a hard time coming up with it.
Yeah.
But I think in terms of consistency, in terms of you kind of know what you're getting, I think Foye, Luke, and may have been the most consistent guy this year so far. Maybe Tank Bigsby can be up for that running as well, but it's a huge loss. It's a huge loss, and once again, we talk about this all the time, where teams endure losses, right? But this one just feels a little more of an added oomph just because of what he means. I think getting people lined up, getting people on the same page, but obviously him flying around as well.
Yeah, they've got to play sound football. Like, that's the problem. We keep talking about they're not talking about playing sound football. They're not taking care of just themselves. Forget about what the other team's doing, which, by the way, in this league, the other team does a lot too. Mm-hmm. But that's a big blow, man, to lose Foye at this point. And right now, it does feel like almost anything that you lose. I mean, Jags have lost Evan Ingram. I think it's a big blow. The way their offense is playing, how could you not? But they have so many problems. I'm not sure Evan Ingram would make a difference in it because they have so many issues.
Yeah.
On the other side, it's you lose a player like Foye. Now you haven't had Darnell Savage, and you lose Tyson Campbell, and you start giving up 47 points. And I can kind of point to that's one of the reasons why. I mean, those are three big players for you. If you just talk about money alone, those are guys. $15 million, $19 million. They brought Savage in on a $20 million deal, not per year, but overall. I mean, that's investment that you are losing. So, yeah, there's familiarity. Then you start the domino effect. And I don't care who you're developing. You're not getting those kind of players. I can tell you this. It doesn't matter who you're playing, who young guy you're playing. They ain't $19 million guy, So, and they don't have the experience of these guys. So they're just finding their way. And running around just becomes, again, another domino effect of what's gone wrong here in Jacksonville early in the season. And they just got to get it right. They got to figure it out. They got to coach it up. They got to prevent themselves. There's a lot of talk about why the Jaguars played man against. You did it yesterday.
Yeah.
And now I didn't see this. I didn't see these numbers. But again, you're not going to. These numbers are different than like EPA and stuff. These numbers are when Josh Allen plays against man defense, he's like 42-2, primarily against man defenses. Someone told me that, Mark. I was like, why the hell would they play man?
Yeah.
And they play man all the time. So what's the balance, Austin, between sticking with what you have and being stubborn about what you are and what you want to do? And that ain't the best matchup. This is why you game plan. And here we go again this week. Did you see what Minnesota did? They confused a little bit of Stroud and Houston, but they really dropped into zone. People are dropping into zone. The quarters defense,
talked about this already,
yeah. But here's my concern. I could sit there and be like, well, you're going to play quarters defense, right? Or you're going to play some kind of zone defense, right? Because that's what works. No, we're going to stick with man. Wait a minute, you're without Tyson Campbell and these guys. No, we're going to stick with man. Why? Isn't this why you work all week in the film room? Is to make a game plan that would maybe trick the opposition and also get away from your tendencies? So what's the balance there? Are they going to play man on Sunday and we're going to go nuts?
No, I mean, I'm not sure what they're going to do yet because I think this team, maybe more than any team, and I think they outsmart themselves, tries to have the big smoke screen of, when it's the preseason, he's the starter or this guy's going to be the starter. Who's calling the plays? Well, I don't know. We'll see. All these things that don't matter now that are coming kind of back to bite you in the ass a little bit as far as I'm concerned. But if you're asking me, and this was my frustration yesterday with Ryan Nielsen, who I sang very highly of when he first got introduced to the team. You put your players to be successful, and man coverage right now is not successful. It's one thing if you have Tyson Campbell. It's one thing if you have your bona fide starters, but you don't right now. And the guys that you have in have shown they're struggling in man coverage. So at what point do you put the ego aside and say, yeah, I know I have my scheme that I want to run. I have my identity that I want this team to be. But do you go, we don't have the players to do that? And I would expect it's going to be against Houston because once again, and I've said this yesterday, if you think that the passing and the guys getting wide open was bad with Buffalo, who had Keelan Coleman and Khalil Shakir and Curtis Samuel and the dude that doesn't wear shoes ever, Mac Hollins, if you thought that was bad, what's going to happen when you got Stephon Diggs, Nico Collins, and Tank Dell? It's going to be that much worse. So if you want to stick to your identity and say, yeah, come hell or high water, we're going man coverage, well then best of luck to you with that, because you don't have the horses right now to go man coverage, and you don't have the pass